for writers because obviously everybody who's looking for writers would just post it, but it's not really how it works, which took me many years to figure out. And as some of you know, I started out on Upwork, so I used the same tactics. I was going up there and I was applying to all their listings and I was applying to jobs. I have notes, that's what I'm getting. I was applying to all of their listings, you know, sending the cover letter and doing all this stuff. And this was years ago. Upwork is probably different now that it's not Odesk, because I had Odesk and Elance. But we're going to go over some cool things about job listings and why they may not be your best friend. So sometimes they can be cool. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But what we want to talk about first is why these certain job listings are a mistake. So let's talk about this. When we're looking at job listings, a lot of times those are hundreds of people applying. So if you go to a LinkedIn job, it'll tell you that, right? If you have LinkedIn Premium and I think even if you have LinkedIn, like just regular grade LinkedIn, they will just show you how many people have applied. Like 532 people have applied, or you're in the top 10% of applicants. Hey, Getty, I am back. I'm still a little sick, so the bug is hanging on. I just was able to eat real food, like not Life cereal. Like I have been living off of Cinnamon Life cereal, and like I just was able to move to eggs and rice, and then I had some like ground beef a little bit last night, so I'm finally moving to real food. But at least I can stand now. Like I wasn't being able to like stand up for a while. So, Getty, welcome in. So let's talk about the 10% of applicants and the number of people on the LinkedIn job post, right? I don't know, man, it's been a while since I've been on Monster or Indeed, but they'll sometimes show you how many people have applied, or they used to. I don't know if they do that anymore. And then what ends up happening is you're in this pool with hundreds of other people, if not thousands. So sometimes I click into them, right? I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I have other videos that are about how I do my marketing on LinkedIn. Love LinkedIn. So sometimes I'll click into the LinkedIn job boards and see what's going on. So I'll click on some of the things where it says freelance writer, freelance copywriter, freelance food writer, all these different listings. And it'll say like hundreds of people are applying. So instead of like being in that pool of hundreds of people, which then you have to get picked out of that pool, right? It's kind of like a regular job. What we want to do, right? Like that's kind of a mistake. We don't want to be in a big pool of hundreds of people. What we want to do is be like one person that contacts a company that we want to work with. So when we're looking at job listings, sometimes what ends up happening is like there's kind of a, yeah, we're back to the live version. Welcome in, Diane. Yeah, so we're back mostly, like we're on track. So if I have to sit down during this live, so be it. But I much prefer standing because when I sit, I end up like touching stuff and banging on the table because like I talk with my hands. So, that's the Italian in me, right? So if I sit down, a lot of times I end up banging things around or touching things. So I like to stand. Plus, I feel like standing, it helps me think better. So, and if you have questions, Getty, Diane, anyone watching, if you have questions, pop them in the chat and we'll answer those too. So why are we going through the mistake part? So we are trying to make sure, like when we're doing our marketing, right, we want to be just the one person. We don't want to be in a pool of tons and tons of people. We don't want to be trying to swim around, in all these applicants. When we do our marketing, right, when we're sending our LOIs, our letters of introduction, and our pitches, which are to magazines, we want to make sure that we stand out. And what we have to do instead, right, just a lot of times we have to move away from all the job boards, right? When you're in this giant pool, it's just really easy to get lost, or it's really easy to get compared a bunch with everybody else where, you're not actually having a conversation with someone and getting to know them and seeing if you're a true fit. They're like comparing a bunch of papers, like people they don't know, and they're like, well, this is this. And then, I haven't submitted a resume in years. Like it's just not how we really work as freelancers. Like we don't really have a resume. We have clips, we have clients that we've worked for, we have websites, portfolios. Oh, well, cool. If there's evidence that standing and walking help, so that is cool. Um, Yeah, we want to use we spend a lot of time creating our website copy to attract the right clients and to basically set up our portfolio so it's easy for people to find the stuff that they need. So when we end up getting in this, swimming in this giant pool of all these other people, it's just like they're comparing papers to papers. They're not comparing experience or like all of these things. It's like, yes, they're comparing experience on paper, but they're not having a conversation with you. So when we're looking at these job listings and you see hundreds of people, like, I just don't even think it's worth applying. A lot of times too, when they have a lot of people applying, the pay is really low, right? Like they have so many applicants that are willing to work with them, right? They're not, they're not looking for the writer, or they're not looking for someone to build a relationship with long term. They're looking for someone to like churn out content. And they're like, we'll give you $100 for like 1,000-word blog post. And you're like, oh, help, no. So when we're thinking about these job listings, here's what we want to do. Think about being the one person. So this is why we send LOIs. This is why we find the revenue of the companies that we want to work with, figure out what's going on. Like, are they being innovative? Are they cool companies we want to work with? Do we think we can help them with their content? Do we want to write for their audience? We combine all those things and then we send our LOI, right? And we send our LOI to a very specific person. We don't send it into a black hole on LinkedIn where like 5 people might be looking at it. We go find one person and we send it to them. And then we have that one-on-one contact. And then we have a call with them. It's a lot different than applying to a job listing where you a lot of times don't know who posted that, right? They sometimes have their picture and say like so and so posted this, so you can reach out to them. But a lot of times, just that LOI, that one-on-one thing, it works just so much better. I just think that a lot of times job listings are just not the right fit. But that's certain job listings. There are some job listings that are, especially on LinkedIn. I'm just mostly talking about LinkedIn. I think a lot of times the other job boards just function more like full-time job. Um, they just function more like full-time jobs, and LinkedIn's board is usually better quality, and it's usually like where freelancers spend time. Like I don't think that a lot of freelancers spend time on Monster or Indeed or these other places, or they shouldn't. So I think just for me, the LinkedIn job board is where it's at. Like that's where the quality stuff is. And the way you kind of figure that out, right? We find these listings that really make sense for us. Like it's not like they're like looking or 10 writers. I need some drink. Hold on. 1 second. So they're not looking to hire 10 writers. They're looking for one person to kind of help them. And it's not something where they're basically asking you to do a full-time job. So you find these listings, and if you feel like it's a really good fit for you, right? You feel like it's something where it's just in your niche, it's the right type of client. They have the money, right? They are creating good content, or they're inconsistent with content and they need help, or that audience is one that you really resonate with and you can really write good content for them. Then you can go find the person, go find the marketing person, the content strategy, or the content marketing person, whoever makes sense for that company, whoever they have. Obviously, the content marketing person or the marketing head or the VP of marketing, or sometimes the content strategist are the people that we want to talk to. You go send them an LOI instead. So you don't get lost in the shuffle of applicants. You go dig around at the company and find an actual human and send your LOI to them. That helps you stand out. And it also means that you're taking the time to actually research the company and go figure out who the right person is. This helps you get away from the applicants, get away from the resume, cover letter BS that we don't have to do, and actually connect with them on like a one-on-one level and say like, here's my portfolio, here are my testimonials, right? A resume, a lot of times, like, do you even have space for testimonials? Or like, I don't know. It's been so long since I've done a resume. Like, I don't even know if that's like a thing you do, is put testimonials on a resume. Um, but if you find the right job listing, and like I said, like this would be my like many tiers down method. So if you do find a job listing, every once in a while there's one on LinkedIn, because it's a paid job board that has a really good meaty job, like a gig that you want to do, and sometimes the company just doesn't know how to find the right writer. Like every once in a while, there's a really good company that's like, we really want to find the right writer, but we don't know how to do that. Like they don't understand like how to search for one or what types of Google stuff they need to do to find the right one. Or they just are like, oh, well, we're used to doing job listings. We'll just put up a job listing. Sometimes you get those people that really are great clients. It's just like, they just know how to use the LinkedIn job board. So you go apply to the actual person, like the person you would be working with instead. And you don't apply, you send your LOI to them. So there are some job listings that you can look at that just make sense for you. That it's not that there's job listings that are like really great for freelance writers. Obviously, like a low number of applicants would be really nice. But for me, what I've found is like no matter the number of applicants, there are just job listings that every once in a while I'm like, yes, like that is definitely me. And it doesn't say, right, there are things like they don't hire tons of writers and they're not like, we're looking for you to crank out a ton of content really quickly. Hi, buddy. So yeah, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to really a bunch of different things in that listing for how we want to run our business, where we're actually going, how many people have applied, can we talk to the real person? And this is another thing that we want to talk about. So there's certain job sites and job listings that we can use to our advantage. So before we do that, we're going to do a quick update because Barry's sitting here and he looks all proper. Hi, Barry. Oh, we have a little fuzz. Let's see if we can get him to go lay down. All right, Barry, can you go back into your hobbit hole and lay down? Oh, you have fuzz on your face. Come here. Come here, you fuzz. Okay, now I have fuzz on me. All right, Barry. Back up. Back up. Can you go lay down? Can you go lay down? I didn't throw it, buddy. It's still in my hand. Still in my hand, bud. Sit. Good job, buddy. Good job. You're the best. There you go. All right, Charlotte, can you get in your hobbit hole? Charlotte, go in your hobbit hole. Go in your hobbit hole. Charlotte. Where'd she go? Here you go, buddy. Good boy. Oh, there she is. Charlotte, go to your hobbit hole. No, go to your hobbit hole. Go to your hobbit hole. Charlotte, go to your hobbit hole. Nope, that's not it either. But, okay, we're just going to have to roll with it today because it's Friday and you guys are trying your best, I guess. Charlotte. I hear you wagging. Good girl. All right. There you go. Good job, everybody. All right. We did our quick update. Everybody's doing good. We didn't get to talk about this last time, but Bo is officially 15 years old. Bo has crossed into 15. He is about 60 pounds, so he's like ultra geriatric now. And he still, as of yesterday, jumps on our counter and gets food. So someone please send help for him being so athletic at 15. He still runs around our backyard. Like he goes up and down the steps and he's basically a freak of nature. And I've never had a dog who at this age, at 15, can do what he does. So congratulations, buddy. You're 15 now. And I don't know how you're so athletic at your age, but you are. All right, so let's talk about this. So let's talk about certain job listings and certain job sites. Also, I want to pull Getty's comment here. So Getty says, right now I'm bombarded daily with LinkedIn job alerts. Yeah, so this is the thing. They will send you a lot of stuff. You can unsubscribe from that. So you can go into your LinkedIn settings and you can make sure that it's, like, yeah, technical writers, freelance resume writers, content strategy stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of listings, but they're not necessarily good listings or not necessarily good jobs. So I turn those off. Like I get them, I think once a week maybe, but I don't get them daily. And I think a lot of times that it makes it seem like there's a lot of stuff, which there is. There is a lot of work out there for freelance writers. Ugh, I have dog hair in my mouth. Gross. Sorry. That's what happens when you have dogs. It makes it seem like there's a lot of stuff going on LinkedIn, and there is, but the job listings part, you have to be very persnickety and particular about what you apply to. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So there are a lot of alerts. There are a lot of things that people are looking for writers, but they're not always great paying gigs. They're not always great clients. It's a lot of times it's like churn and burn work. So what we want to do is, like, sometimes, like I said, there are listings that make sense for us. Like we're looking at it and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm a perfect fit for this. I definitely want to apply. I definitely want to go find, whoever the content marketing manager is and go talk to them. But there's also full-time jobs that will hire freelancers. So this is a definite job listing that I've applied to and others have applied to that I know that have been, it's been really like, it's been pretty good for the most part. Like I think I got maybe like one or two over the years, but a lot of times people think they need a full-time employee, but they're better off with a freelancer. So they go into it thinking like, we need someone to do this job full-time. And then they end up hiring a freelancer and they're like, oh, like we can save money by not hiring someone full-time and we're getting, a lot of stuff done. So when you look at these full-time job listings for different writings, like it could be for a content marketing writer, it could be that just says writer or copywriter. Look at like what the scope of work is in there. And if you feel like it's a really good fit for you, if you feel like that type of job is something that makes sense, then you can go find the same person, right? Same content marketing person, and go to them and say, hey, I saw that you had a full-time person. Would you consider freelance for this role? Then give them the little bit of your LOI that says like, I'm qualified and I've written for these clients and here's my portfolio and testimonials. And then see what they say. So this is what we want to do if we find a full-time job listing that they may go freelance. This has happened a bunch of times, especially now where, hiring someone for full-time is expensive and there's like the great resignation, right? Like lots of people are leaving their jobs. Lots of people are looking for remote stuff. Lots of people are turning to freelance or turning to starting their own business or doing different types of work than they used to because of the pandemic, right? Like there's all this stuff happening, right? Everybody's trying to go back, like either make people go back to work or there's this weird like hybrid thing where you have to work sometimes in the office and sometimes not. And after the pandemic, I think a lot of, workers, employees realize that they don't have to be in the office to get their work done. They don't need that. Some people do. I know some people who just do better in an office. They just do better leaving their house, not working in their home. And I like to work outside my home sometimes too, but I think that kind of made a big shift. So when you see a full-time, hello, you have to be in your hobbit hole. No, you have to go to your hobbit hole. You are almost there. You are almost, I see your butt. Back up, back up, back up. Good job. Good girl. Bo has moved pet beds, so now he's outside the camera. Here you go, Bean. Come here, buddy. Good job. All right. Good job, guys. Easy. Good girl. Here you go, buddy. There we go. Good job, guys. You're doing great. Let's see if I can get you both on camera. Oh, there we go. We got you both on camera. Almost, but you're both looking away. Classic. Okay. So you can apply to these full-time job listings if they're a fit for you, and you don't apply to them through the portal. So let me always stress that. Hey, Marie, welcome in. The pups say hello, Marie. We just had them on. They both like to be not totally in the camera. Like, no matter where I put it in, they're just, like, just barely both in here without getting, like, the actual desk on there. Whatever. We're trying our best today. I'm still ill. I'm doing my best. All right. So, when we apply to these jobs, we don't apply through any of the portals. So even if you were combing any of the freelance writer job boards, Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn, anywhere that you look for jobs, you don't want to apply through the actual portal. You don't want to be in the pool. You want to go find the direct person and reach out to them and say like, hey, would you consider freelance for this role? And sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll consider freelance instead of hiring a full-time person. And then sometimes they'll also be interested in finding a freelancer to work for them until they find the right full-time employee. So sometimes that could be a 3-month contract. They just can't find the right full-time person yet. And then you can work for them for 3 months and, help them with their content, get paid while you do that. And then eventually, you find new clients or they find a full-time person. I know some people end up doing that. They just like give up on the idea of hiring someone full-time. They're just like, you know what, this freelance thing is working out way better than we thought. We love working with you. Let's continue on. So that's what we want to do. We want to find these specific full-time job listings that make sense for us. And we want to make sure that we find the right freelance writer or freelance copywriter or freelance content marketing writer job postings. Find the person who makes sense, the content marketing manager, the marketing manager, the VP of marketing, the director of marketing. Sometimes it's the content strategist. Sometimes it's the CEO if it's a small company. And we want to actually apply to them. So the last thing that we're going to go over, the last thing that we're pulling up here is, and if you have questions, pop them in the chat because we're almost like 2/3 of the way through. So we're going to talk about hidden gems and getting away from low payers. So there are times when you have LinkedIn job boards that say what they're paying. Sometimes they will tell you what the full-time pay is, what they're going to pay per article. They'll give you information about, like, you're expected to write 4 articles a week or like something like that. So anytime you're looking for a hidden gem, you're looking for someone who's looking for quality writing. You're looking for someone who has a scope of work that makes sense for what they're asking for. Not necessarily in terms of pay, because usually the hidden gems don't have pay on there. That's what I've noticed. The ones who are really looking to pump out a ton of content and really aren't, paying attention to quality as much, they just put that. They're like, we'll pay you 30 to 40K a year. And you're like, oh, okay. That means like their budget's really low for paying for freelance. Or they'll say, like I said, like it's $100 for a 1,000-word article. They'll put that in there. We don't want to apply to any of that. We want to apply to the listings that make sense and the ones that are actually a reasonable scope of work. Like it'll say, over the course of working together, you will create these types of materials, right? You will create ebooks and guides and blog posts and case studies. And it doesn't say like really quickly. It says like, these are the types of things you would be doing, right? The scope makes sense. It's a longer term thing. Oh, you were so close to laying down. I looked at you and you sat back up. Oh my gosh. We want to make sure that we are finding things in that job listing that make sense for how we work as a freelancer, right? It's not like there was an article I read the other day that talks about things in job listings you should watch out for, like quick-paced environment means like you're expected to work late all the time and your deadlines are really short. And then there's another one that's like eager startup environment or like some kind of thing like that. There are lots of startups that I work with that are wonderful, awesome clients. But anytime you get in a situation where they're like quick-paced startup environment or like wear many hats startup environment, like a lot of times that is just like, that's just equals scope creep. That means they're like, hey, can you also do this and then like us not pay for it? Or can you also do that? And just you're already writing this thing. Why don't you just add it in, right? They treat you like a full-time employee. That's another thing to look for. If you see anything in the job listing that basically is like treating you like a full-time employee, like they're talking about things in a freelance job listing, not the full-time one, in a freelance job listing that makes it sound like your employee, abort. That will be a very bad relationship because we are not full-time employees. We do the work. And this is like the thing that I always think about. Like if I have a client who's treating me like a full-time employee or I get on a call with someone, like this has happened to me many times. I get on a call and they're like, well, convince me why I should hire you. And I'm like, no, no, why would I do that? I have a portfolio, I have clips, like I have clients, I have testimonials. I don't need to sit here and like do that. That's silly. Like we are having a conversation. Are we a fit? Like it just makes it feel like someone's up here and they're like talking down to you and they're like, convince me why you should be part of my team. And you're like, what? No good client that I've ever had has done that to me. All of my good clients like ask me how I work. And all of my good clients, like we giggle and laugh and we have a good conversation. We act like normal people. We're not like having this like, what are your 3 biggest weaknesses? Or like, what's the situation? This is like my favorite. Like, what's a bad situation that you made good? Or like, weird shit like that. Like, no. You're missing the point. Like we have a relationship that is, I get an assignment. I go off and do that assignment. We do the edits. We fix everything. And then I get paid for that. Like we don't have a relationship where like you need to know, not need to know, but we don't have a relationship that's like we're working together 8 hours a day every day. It's basically like we have a few emails. I go off and do my stuff. There's dead silence for like 2 weeks. I turn in my work and an invoice and we move along. I think that a lot of times when you get into this weird squeegee, like, ugh, like if it feels like like a squeegee on like a mirror where it's like anytime you get a feeling like that, like, ugh, abort. And most of the time it's when you end up getting these questions and these questions are like crazy things, right? If you read the job listing or if you end up contacting the content marketing manager or the content strategist, the marketing person, and they end up having this job interview type thing with you, like abort. I'm telling you that never ends well. Like, I'm sure sometimes it does, always and never, there's like, that's, thing. But for my experience, every time I've had a conversation with someone who treated me like a full-time employee or who ended up asking me these weird questions that don't apply to me actually doing my job, it just ended really weird. And I got scope creep. I got so many people in the honeypot editing my work, that it just, like, everybody who's asked for feedback gives feedback and it conflicts and it makes no sense. You end up getting in the situation where, like, they expect you to, like, email every day or, like, be part of their, like, giant company Slack channel where you're like, no, I'm doing my work. Like, leave me alone. Or they end up doing this thing where, like, they're like, well, employees are paid, like, at this interval. And like, okay, well, you signed a contract that says the opposite of that. So, and it's you want to work with someone, especially if you found them off a job listing, who understands that freelancers own their own business. They operate separately. They are not employees. They have their own office equipment. They have their own ways of working. They don't need to report to you every 5 minutes. They don't need to have a conversation. Like, basically, our job is to understand. Hello, beep. Is to understand what the job is, right? What the goals of the project are, what type of work they want done, how to do it, read the content brief if they give one. Here you go, Bean. Here you go, buddy. Barry. And execute on the work. And then anytime they come back with edits, then we end up doing that. We end up helping them with stuff. And if they ask for more work, right, they come back and they say, hey, like, can you add a white paper or can you add a guide or a downloadable or something like that? Then we're like, sure, it costs X amount of dollars. Does that work? I'll refresh the contract. We'll re-sign everything. And then we'll go from there. Not just like an employee where they're like, hey, can you just add this thing in? Like, they're like, add a chart, or here you go, buddy. Or, add an infographic or a social media post. Oh, like, it'll only take you 5 minutes. You just did this thing. No. That costs money. So anytime you end up getting in a conversation with someone or you read a job listing, right, you want to get to the gems. Like, those gem job listings are the ones that understand that you're a freelancer, you run your own business. They're looking to partner with someone. They want teamwork. They want someone to complete a very specific types of stuff, not like, hold on, I got an eyelash. Not like stuff that is a random, like, oh, you're going to be writing some things, like marketing material. Like, they don't say specifically case studies, white papers. They don't list the content. You want the content listed on there because then they have direction and focus for where they're going. So it takes a while sometimes to find those hidden gems. Like, there's lots of listings for freelance writers or freelance content strategists or content marketing writers. And they're just like, I find that their budgets are very low and they don't know, like, they don't really get the quality of the writing. They just want quantity, which is not where we want to be. We want people who want quality writing, who care about the end user, right? The end person who's reading this content. Not that they're just like, we're creating a lot of content because we thought we need to do that. Like, they have a very specific set of goals of why they're creating the content, how to do it, the way to put everything together, who their audience is and why they need to create this content, this specific piece of content for them. So for me, I find that the hidden gems are few and far between, and you really have to look at a lot of job listings to go find them. So if you've been looking at job listings, if you have been really using that as your main source of finding freelance work, like, I want you to minimize that. Minimize that. That should be like a last ditch effort. That should be your last thing where, like, at the end of the day where you're really tired, you comb through 10 job listings, see if there's any gems in there that make sense for you, and move on with your life. You want to be sending LOIs. You want to be finding those clients that have the right revenue, that make the most sense for your business, and that actually, need help. They understand how to work with a freelancer. Here you go, buddy. And they get on a call with you to get to know you. They want to have someone who is a writer that they can build a long-term relationship with, someone that they can go to, right? Someone they can go to and say, like, we need to, here's our next 3 months of content. We want to work with you. Let's do that. And then they keep coming back, or you have a longer term agreement with them to do X amount of content, like blog posts per month, or a case study every quarter, something like that. So, okay. Well, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or anything that has popped up, put them in the comments below. So let me know if you've been looking at job listings. Let me know if you've found some good job listings, or if there's a job board that you feel like is really helpful for freelance writers. Drop that below in the comments. If you feel like there's been some stuff that's happened where you're just like, you either totally avoid job listings, or you feel like you've gotten a lot of good work, share that below in the comments. If you feel like this has been helpful, give it a thumbs up. And make sure to subscribe below to get more info about how to build a high earning freelance writing business. I'm here every Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time. And yeah, so cool. All right. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the Bo birthday wishes. And I will see you next Friday. Bye.